We're back, Trekkers, and we're going back to the beginning to look at Captain Kirk's best and worst decisions on this edition of...
Yeah, it's the best five, worst five, no one has seen. Yeah, it's the best five, worst five Treks ever seen.
James T. Kirk has a tendency to go off-book more often than most captains, and with that has quite a few questionable decisions over 5 seasons, 10 movies, and a few episodes of Strange New Worlds. We will define good and bad decisions based on body counts, morals, following of Starfleet codes, and how the decisions affect the wider universe. I'm going to be honest, the worst column is mostly superficial, due to Kirk always doing the right thing. So, per the usual, we're starting with the 5th worst, the signpost up ahead. While it never actually affects anyone in the end, and even leads to the first contact for the Federation, ignoring the warning from the buoy at the beginning of Spectre of the Gun feels like a direct violation of the spirit of First Contacts. Through the episode, it even appears they lose Chekhov because of Kirk's deliberately ignoring the wishes of a non-Federation society. While Kirk is credited with making some of the most first contacts in Star Trek history, if it's done by ignoring the basic whims of an uncontacted society, does he deserve credit? Number 4. Age does not equal wisdom. If you go to check on a science team and find them aged by many decades, would your first thought be to immediately beam them back to the ship where they may have some kind of rapid aging disease that could be spread to others? Kirk sure thought it was a swell idea in the deadly years. There's a theme in many of the entries on this list where the captain must weigh their duty to the Federation citizens in general and the safety of their ship and crew. This is one of the most ridiculous missteps in that field. While it turns out, because reasons, thankfully you can only get this aging disease if you go to that planet itself. It cost the life of the landing party's youngest member, and nearly had the Enterprise taken by the Romulans when Commodore Know-It-All took command, and decided crossing into Romulan space to get to a starbase was a good idea. I hope this led to the tougher isolation protocols we see in future Trek. Number 3. Honey, I Shrunk the Consequences. Most Trek captains have a white whale they will hunt to the ends of the galaxy, regardless of the consequences to their ship and crew. Kirk's is a really interesting moral quandary that again comes back to putting his own crew in danger for the sake of potentially stopping future lives from being in danger. The aptly named episode Obsession sees Kirk confronting a conscious energy being that smells like honey that he's encountered before, and has claimed multiple lives of those under his command over the years. While it's noble to want to tame this thing before it potentially moves to another planet and takes more lives, he actively puts more of his own crew in jeopardy while ignoring Starfleet orders to withdraw. This is one of the episodes that gives the red shirt trope its name, even though it's not the shirt color with the highest body count. Number 2. Trafficking for fun and profit. While it's Harry Mudd's fault that both the Enterprise's non-dilithium crystals are depleted, and that the lonely miners of Rigel 12 became aware of women under his control that are able to be traded for more lithium to keep the ship with power, Kirk begrudgingly goes along with it. While this goes back to weighing the safety of your ship with the needs of others, Kirk made the wrong decision going along with this. If you had female volunteers from your crew sacrificing themselves to keep the ship from running out of power, even in a vulgar trade, that might at least be on the fringes of acceptable, because they've taken an oath to Starfleet. These women, who are under drugged control of Harry Mudd, should be well off limits to forcible trade. Granted, this is early Trek without set norms, but as we know now, being NX Enterprise's first stop in deep space, it's not that far from Earth. They couldn't have signaled Starfleet for an emergency resupply from another ship? There's so many things that don't add up before abandoning principles and being an accessory to trafficking of persons. And Kirk's worst decision at number 1? Ignoring your XO. While I find the motion picture to be the best prescription for sleeplessness, the refit Enterprise's next slated captain really knew his ship and was more rational about how to accomplish a dangerous mission than Starfleet's golden boy coming in and demoting him. If Kirk was going to ignore Decker at every turn, why even keep him on as your first officer? You're on a mission to stop a gigantic destructive supercloud headed for Earth, and you consistently ignore the person whose job it is to give you advice and alternatives. This screams of being a bad captain, and this portrayal of Kirk is one of many reasons I can't stand this movie. Maybe this is when Gene Roddenberry decided that interpersonal conflict between the crew doesn't work. As Kirk learns to make better decisions, if you're enjoying the content, please consider a like and subscribe. At fifth best, you're bluffing. One of Jim Kirk's strongest suits is projecting strength from a position of weakness. He's so good at bluffing while playing cards, he can even invent a card game on the spot just to waste the time of his opposition. His best deception, though, was inventing a MacGuffin known as the Corbomite device, a magic machine of unlimited power that, if destroyed, can end space travel through a region. One can only assume that it runs on omega molecules, or more likely unobtainium. While originally invented out of whole cloth to battle the threat from the First Federation, word of it became well known to the Romulans, where Kirk would again use the threat of this WMD to escape a no-win scenario. James Kirk and Kira Nerys are two Trek characters you never want to play a high-stakes card game with. Number 4. Sacrifice those that you love. Kirk succeeded where the captain of the Federation survey vessel SS Beagle failed. Mirik was willing to sacrifice his crew to save his own life. Even with his two best friends being held hostage and threatened with certain death, Kirk does not waver in his commitment to his ship and crew against the Roman-like society of the fourth planet of System 892. Given that Mirik was easily able to rise to the prestige of first citizen of this society, and I'm pretty sure Kirk could have bested him in the televised gladiatorial games and become famous on this planet, he made the right decision. Number 3. Cold War freezes over. In the wake of the Organian Peace Treaty, the Federation and Klingons can't be in a hot war at this particular point in history, but they will certainly keep the tensions heightened and project their power through other non-aligned planets. In the case of the episode A Private Little War, they'll even use a pre-war planet in a post-Iron Age level of advancement to try and claim territory and ideological wins. When the Klingons give one group on this planet of Mugatos rifles to fight their enemies, Kirk is forced to make a choice whether to claim victory by giving a tribe he's friendly with similar weapons. His decision to withhold them may put them at a disadvantage if the Klingons continue their patronage of the other side, but it also highlights the fact that Federation morals are more important than a nearly worthless win. At the very least, the Gamados will be safer. Number 2. Temporal prime cetaceans. Doing time travel for any reason is usually frowned upon, due to the risk of making things even worse. In the case of mankind's short-sightedness in the treatment of whales over the centuries, there wasn't much choice in the case of a probe from the great unknown that will strip Earth bare in its search for whales. For as dangerous as a slingshot maneuver around a star is, it seems to work out just fine every time we see it in Trek. Sometimes it takes the courage of a disgraced Starfleet admiral to make the tough choices and take on the tough missions it takes to save a planet. And Kirk's best decision in Star Trek at number 1, the good of the many. We have another time travel story that was absolutely necessary. The city on the edge of forever sees a crisis created by a drug-addled Bones that presumably wipes out the Federation as a whole just by saving the life of one woman from the 1920s. Complicating things for Kirk, when he goes back to stop McCoy from doing what seems like the right thing, he falls in love with the woman that cannot exist. This leads Kirk to make the most important and hardest decision of his career as a Starfleet captain, having to condemn a person he cared about to a fateful date with a truck. Overall, Kirk proves through his tenure as a high-ranking Starfleet official to be a decision-maker of unimpeachable character. What's your favorite Kirk decision?